Before I begin this episode, I just want to let you guys know that I'm not recording this on the day I usually record the podcast. And because of that reason, because my schedule this week is fucking insane, I'm not going to have time to record it the day I want to record it. The content of this podcast is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to focus on current events this week. I'm going to focus on more personal experience and personal shit. So I'm going to be talking about me a lot. And I know some people are here for current events, and if you skip this episode, I'm not going to be mad because really, I know there are only a certain amount of people here that are here for my personal experience. With that being said, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. Every single week, I gotta come in here and find a way to talk about shit while the song is playing in the background. Because YouTube is on my ass about that. They really don't want any music playing. So I gotta kind of find a way to talk over the music while it plays. So let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. Welcome to the Case Study Podcast. And this episode is gonna be an actual fucking case study. Evergreen number 1. Let's go. This is episode number 8 with your esteemed host, Isaias Hernandez. And to be honest, man, I'm just here to give you guys a good time. So, let's get into it, man. Let's talk about some shit. I called him, man, like dominoes and knocked him down like dominoes. His ass got popped. All right. Beautiful Jersey afternoon. It's beautiful, man. Positive vibes all around. Let's go, because I'm going to be talking about some shit today that's not that positive. Let's go. I don't want to get down on you guys too early, but let's go, man. Let's start it. Let's get right to it. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of why I'm here. And I knew this week in particular was going to be one that I'm going to have to do an episode like this. So I did want to start my first ever Evergreen episode, Evergreen number 1, I'm going to call this episode, with talking about relationships. Relationship is one of the few things that keep coming up on this episode, on this podcast, and I do it in joking. I bring it up in joking, but again, there's truth to all good jokes. So let's talk about it, relationships. I want to preface this entire conversation by saying this about relationships. I've never been in love with a partner, with a relationship partner. I've been in relationships. I've been in a couple of relationships. I won't say I date a lot. I don't date a ton, but I've never been in love with another person. And keep that in mind. Every single time I've been in a relationship, my partner has always cared and loved me more than I cared and loved them. And there's love there. I'm not saying there was no love there. But it just wasn't the love that everyone is talking about, or this fucking insane drug that people make it out to be. I've never experienced that type of love, or so I think. So that will be very important, because I want to talk about a story that happened to me later this year where that's important. All right. So relationships. I want to start by talking about the actual concept of a relationship. What does a relationship entail? Now, if you're asking me, I think people who look for relationships are broken to some capacity. And again, not all broken people are created equal. There's some people who are more broken than others. But I think people who are actively looking for a relationship, people who are actively looking and going out and searching for a girl that wants to be their girlfriend, or people that are looking for a partner that they want to keep around for a while, they're broken. They have problems to some degree, and they're looking for a person that can not I'm not gonna say heal those problems or solve those problems, but they can mend them, they can deal with them, they can manage them, they can manage those said problems that the person has. And I think that's where a lot of relationships go wrong, where people think that someone is good for their problems, and they don't want to realize that the person really isn't, and in fact is harming them more than it is good. And then that's where I feel like a lot of relationships go wrong. With that being said, I'm going to talk about me a little bit, because I'm actually, before I get into that, 3 things keep coming up in this podcast for some reason or another. I feel like 3 recurring topics keep bringing themselves up in this podcast. Number 1, I'm kind of fucked up in the head. Psychologically, anyway, that is. I kind of think a little bit different. And that's just the truth. Number 2, I feel like one of the topics that keep coming up on this podcast is my search in a relationship. And I'm not going to say I'm actively searching for a girlfriend or anything, because I don't think I am. But I keep on this podcast, I keep making jokes about it. I keep referencing it. And that's kind of the podcast personality that I got to play in order to make more funny and interesting content. But there is some truth to it. It would be nice to have someone to give my hoodies to. Call back to another episode. And number 3, I'm not the best morally sound person. I talk about morals a lot, and the morals that I do believe in, I hold in such a high regard. But overall, when we're talking about everyday interaction, day-to-day basis, I'm not the best person. And that's just facts. That's okay to realize. I know myself well. And again, I want to make these 3 points. I'm making these 3 points because I want to talk about this experience that happened to me earlier this year. And I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to divulge private information and information that I felt like was confidential between me and this particular person too much. But I do want to talk about it. This experience, I hate what this experience did to me, because it just jaded me further. It just made me feel like I'm not going to say I'm on the future fuck bitches wave, fuck all hoes, but I'm kind of leaning toward that direction. And it's experiences like this that make me do that. I'm trying to find a way to talk about this without sounding like a complete fucking loser. So I'll say this about this particular person that I'm talking about right now. She is one of the best people I've ever met. I think that's a good way to put it. She's one of the best people I've ever met. And again, that's all I really say about her and in that regard, because I don't want to sound like a complete fucking loser talking about this. But it's the truth when I say that. She's one of the best people I've ever met in character, in morality, and everything. And I say that because I don't have the privilege of meeting good people often. A lot of people that I associate myself with and I hang around, they're not the best of people. The people that I've met in my life, they're not the best of people. A therapist would say that's my fault, and also a little bit a victim of circumstance. But most of the part, it's my fault, and I'll be accountable for that. I do gotta find better company to hang around, because when I meet people like her, who are just so much better than me in every single possible way, the disparity is so clear. The disparity was real when between me and her. So naturally, when you meet someone like this, as every guy would, you try to cuff her. And I cannot believe I'm sharing this story. I might cut this shit, but I might not. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. You try to cuff her, and in that process, I guess I call it the courting process, even though that term I feel like is outdated. In the courting process, it was difficult to be myself around someone who is so much better than me. Like, she's fucking better than me in every single way. So in doing so, I began to hide and condense myself to make sure she didn't know who I was. That damaged the way that I feel like I went about it. And I'll talk about what happened with that a little bit later. But in doing so, in me hiding who I actually was in front of her, I feel like, number one, I knew everything about her, because every single time we had a conversation, I made sure to make it focus on her and not me. And number two, she knew nothing about me, about who I actually was. Because I kind of had to play a different personality when I was with her. Because I thought if I was myself, I wouldn't have a chance. And look, I don't want to... I know I sound like a fucking loser right now, but it's the truth. It's what happened. And in the end, it didn't work out, because I feel like that was the main reason why. I knew everything about her, and she didn't know anything about me, about who I actually was. And it just fell through. The reason why this hurt so much, and this hurt so much for a number of reasons, but the reason why this in particular hurt so much, because later I found out something that she was with someone who was probably worse than me, just based on the sheer actions that homeboy does. And it just goes to show you, and I just bring that up to say that, in conclusion, all these bitches are the same. And I said I wasn't going on that future fuck all these bitches ways, but now that I kind of think about it, you know what? Fuck it. It's not... And at the end of the day, it is my fault, but I'm going to still find someone else to blame. So, alright, moving on. I didn't want to get too fucking deep into that conversation, because there's a lot more that I could talk about on relationships. But I want to stay on the topic of relationships, just a different kind of subtopic of relationship, and that's cheating. Cheating is one of those things that is so fucking simple and basic and plain to me that I don't know why people make such a big deal out of it. And when I say that, understand what I'm saying. Understand what I'm about to say. Because I'm not saying cheating is not a big deal. It is. Cheating stems from a problem in the relationship. There is no other reason for a person to cheat. A person's not going to cheat if they're happy. No matter what the fuck you think, no matter what the fuck you say, it's not true. It's not happening. Something is wrong with either the person or their relationship, and that's when cheating ensued. The only difference between cheating today, in this day and age, and cheating 30 years ago was that there's 20 more different ways to cheat in this age. There's like 30 different ways to cheat on your significant other. 30 years ago, if cheating was defined as you sleeping with someone else, 50 years ago, that was really the only way. Physical interaction was the only way where you could cheat back in the day. And that conversation leads me to the people who say that cheating is normalized and it's normal. No, it's not. Newsflash to anyone who has a fucking brain. Cheating is one of those things that happens when there's a problem with a relationship. And for those of y'all that don't know, humans have had problems in relationships since the beginning of fucking time. So it's been happening for a while now. And it's pretty fucking normal within society. And whether you want to realize it or not, that's not up to me. That's up to you. I know it. It's a pretty normal practice. The only difference is today you could cheat 30 different ways. Back then, physical interaction was the only way you could cheat. Today you could send nudes, you could text your boy, you could blah, blah, blah. That wasn't an option back in the day. It wasn't. And that's where the disparity occurs. That's why it seems kind of more common. I mean, more frequent. Not more common, more frequent. But it's still a very, it's a very human thing. We don't want to deal with our problems, so we put them on someone else. It's human nature. What the fuck? Yo, shit like this is like such, for me, it's like such logic. It's like logic-based shit. And it's so blatant on the nose shit that I feel like everyone should know, but everyone plays dumb to it. If there's even you suspecting of cheating, there's something wrong in that relationship already. Suspecting, not even the act of cheating itself. It's just suspecting. There is something wrong with it. And you should probably communicate. Idiots. Don't take the social media on Twitter and subtweet people. Fucking bozos, yo. Talk with the person you're dating. Yo, I'm off it. I'm done. I'm moving on, man. I'm moving on. I'm off it. Now, there was this song I was listening to, and I don't know, I'm not sure what song it was or who wrote it or who made it, but he said a bar in there that was pretty fucking common within rapping, and that was the bar of yo, my teacher didn't care about me, yo. My teacher said I'll never make it. They fucking doubted me. This is for you. And I kind of laughed because I want to know how many people actually, like, their teacher actually shitted on them like that. Because it probably wasn't that much. Teachers actually kind of care. And number two, it kind of brought me back to this point in time in my life where that actually happened to me. And that actually happened to me pretty fucking bad. And I kind of forgot about it. Even though it did affect me for a while, I kind of forgot about it. And I'm kind of proud of myself because of it. But I'm only going to share this story because I feel like it doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form anymore. And it used to. So I'm going to talk about it. Let's go. So in middle school, this happened in middle school, by the way. It wasn't in high school. This happened to me in middle school. In middle school, I went to this middle school where it wasn't the richest middle school. It encompassed areas that had poverty, and granted, I wasn't impoverished. We was poor. No, we was broke, but we weren't poor. There's a difference. We were broke, but we weren't poor. And this, so it was evident with the clothes that I would take to school, even though we lived in a pretty nice house. And yeah, so let me talk about this experience really quickly. I hate being the best at things. I don't ever want to be acknowledged as the best or regarded as the best in anything. That's just how I've been since a little kid. In soccer, in school, in anything that I've ever done, I don't ever want to be called the best, or I don't ever want to be seen as the best. I'd rather play an underdog really story where they're not expecting me and I kind of like show up prove all my haters wrong, all my doubters. But in the 7th grade, heading into the 8th grade, in 7th grade, heading into 8th grade, it was time to select classes. And my teacher, my guidance counselor, did something for me that no one else has ever done. She put me in, she recommended, and then she put me into honors level courses. It was the first ever honor level courses I've ever taken, first ever program that was held in that regard. And she did it kind of behind my back a little bit. She recommended me it. I never took it. I never said yes to it, but she did it anyway. She went ahead and did it. I woke into this class, and the school that I went to, while it did encompass some impoverished areas, and those were the people that I associated myself, it also encompassed very wealthy areas. So this first fucking day of class that I'm walking into this class is 8th grade year, September, with my clothes on, looking like a fucking complete outlier, because guess what? I was the only colored kid in that class. I was the only Mexican, damn near in the there was only a couple Hispanic people, but I was the only Mexican in that class. I think I was the only colored person. There might have been a couple others, but not to my knowledge. Of them looking the way I did, walking into that class with fucking rags and wearing the same shoes every day and blase, blase, blah, you know. I'm not trying to do this as a sob story, but it was true. I didn't know anyone that was in the class. I wasn't familiar with anyone. I was kind of like I was like the new kid, because again, these kids have been in here for years on end. So the teacher is where I wouldn't say, because I did say this was a story about the teacher telling me I wouldn't be shit. I think I consciously forgot her name, because whenever I think about this experience, I try to think about her name so fucking bad, and I just can't remember it. And I think I did that on purpose. Forgot her name. Subconsciously, I did it on accident. I forgot her name on accident, but I kind of did it on purpose, if that makes sense. But I remember exactly how she looked. She was a mid to late 30s, tall white woman. She always wore makeup. She always wore this red lipstick. She had hair that came down kind of to her back. She had no bangs. Her hair was parted down the middle. It was nice and blonde. It was kind of long. She always wore heels and dress pants and this like blazer thing. Different color every day. And when this class started, she would kind of take every little opportunity to shit on me. And she would call me trouble. And that's kind of where it really started. Because in all fairness, yes, I was a troubled little fucking kid. And I was causing trouble, but I was never causing trouble in school that much. In her class anyway. And that was her nickname to me. She called me trouble. And she would nitpick, she would clown my work and all that. But the dagger was, one day we had to do this project, and it was a presentation, and it was a pretty weird grade. And I did my presentation, and it was a pretty good presentation, because I remember I didn't fail the presentation, but I got like a C on it. But she took the time out of that presentation to completely shit on me in front of the class. And she was like, that was probably one of the worst presentations I've ever seen. And then and that same class, she told me to stay after for a little bit. Stay after class, and I thought it was because of my grade, because I thought I failed it. I thought I failed the project, and I wasn't scared, but I was like, what the fuck? I kind of tried on that project. So after the class had left, it was me and her, and she proceeded to spend 20 minutes to shit on me completely to my face. And I won't, because of what she said and what was said between me and her, I won't really say exactly what she said, but just know that I do remember a lot of it. But one of the things she did well is convincing me that I wasn't shit. Because it was just me and her. And after she did that, she convinced me to drop the classes that I was taking. Because I was taking 2 accelerated classes. She needed 4 signatures to do that. She needed mine, the vice principal's, the guidance counselors, and hers. She had 3 of those signatures. The only one that didn't sign that paper for me to transfer out was the guidance counselor. You know why that was? Because I had an A in her class. Aside from that project that was weighted pretty heavily, I had an A in her class. And I was doing pretty well. And like I said before, I was kind of a troubled kid. I was in trouble a lot of times. And for me to have an A in that class, she said that was really impressive. I didn't understand, and I probably still don't take into account how impressive that was, but I didn't care about it because of what she told me. She made me feel like I didn't belong. In that rant, she was talking about my friends. She was talking about the fact that I don't belong, blah, 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 blah. And I thought it didn't affect me moving forward, but I began to realize that it did affect me in some way because I always downplayed my intelligence. And I still do to this day, but I think that just became me. I downplay my intelligence. I downplay my skills in certain shit. I downplay everything about me for a weird reason. I don't know what that reason is, but I think that interaction has a large part to play in all of this. And I don't give a fuck about it now because it's over, it's done. I don't feel like it'll affect me in any way, shape, or form anymore. But I just wanted to divulge that story to you guys. To say that actually happened to me. I'm not like a rapper. I'm not a rapper. I tried to rap before. I've also tried to sell stuff. And it just never worked out. So this happens to people that aren't rappers. I promise you that. Or aren't drug dealers. But it happens to people. It does. And I just wanted to share that quick story with you guys. Before I go, I want to talk about this conversation that came up while I was talking to a couple friends the past couple days. It was a conversation about and this is an age-old conversation too, but it was a conversation about would you be able to take a life? Would you be able to kill someone if there was threatening your family member, or if there was that conversation, yo, if you had a gun and it was cocked and you had one bullet and he had a gun to your mom's head, would you be able to take his life? I know me well. So without even thinking about it, without even saying that, yes, I know I have the capacity to kill a person. I know that. If the situation warrants it. Because that's what the scenario was. If your mom's life was in danger, would you kill someone? Yes. And I know that because I know myself well. And I feel like 85% of the people would also say yes if one of their loved ones, if their kid, if their mom, their dad, their brother, their sister, if a family member of theirs was their best friend, if a family member of theirs was threatened, 85% of the people would say yes. 90% of people would say yes. I'm pulling that trigger. And I'm just here to tell you, no, you wouldn't. In fact, there's a lot of people who wouldn't be able to do it. I only say I can do it because I know myself well, and I know in traumatic and big moments like that, my emotions are shot. Like, I don't feel anything in those moments. I know this for a fact because I've been in traumatic moments. I'm numb. That's not a good thing. It's just reality. And every single time this situation comes up, there's one point I always harken back to every single time when this scenario comes up. And that's this little side point. Not the fact that I'm taking someone's life, because I know I can do it. And I don't know the effects that it will have on me, but I know I can do it. If the situation warrants it. Look at humans being fucking pathetic and playing God. That's the only thing that'll really trip me up. It don't matter. Like, humans should never be in that situation, ever. To threaten someone's life, and then you gotta take someone else's life. Look at us playing God. Who the fuck are we to decide who lives and who dies? Life is one of those things where you got, and you're supposed to make the most of it. That's the only part that'll trip me up. Because I know I would be playing a part in that. I would be playing a part in humans acting pathetic and playing God. It's fucking disgusting to me. But I know I could do it. That's all I say. If the situation warrants it. Allegedly. That's what I gotta cover my ass. Because I don't know who's listening. And I just wanted to bring that topic up to say that no, you wouldn't. Becky, you wouldn't be able to pull that trigger. No, you wouldn't. Thomas, you wouldn't be able to pull that trigger. You got no idea what the fuck that... You don't know what that pulling that trigger entails. You know what that shit is. We don't know what that shit like. I don't know what that shit's like. But I know when it comes down to situations like that, my emotions are shot. I can think completely straight in traumatic moments. My attention to detail in these types of moments is crazy. And I only know it because I've been through it. Not this particular situation, but you know what I mean. Moving on, man. Moving on. Staying with that topic of, I want to talk about death. A quick little current event point here. Goldlink, if you didn't see, Goldlink was talking about Mac Miller, and it was a nasty ass rant that he did. And Mac Miller, if you don't know, he's deceased. Rest in peace, Mac. And Goldlink was saying that he's my best friend, but he said some nasty fucking story about him, and at the end he said that I'd be lying if I didn't expect you to die. Come on, bro. One of the things that I'm hell-bent and stuck up on is I'll never speak on the dead. Ever. No matter who you are, no matter what you've done in your life, I will never, ever speak on the dead. No. Ever. There's not an exception to this rule. That's one of the things I believe in. And people always, whenever I say that, and whenever I tell that to people always say to me, yo, would you say the same about Adolf Hitler or like a serial killer? Yes! Stupid! You fucking idiot? Yes, of course. Number one, I got no fucking reason to be talking about any of those people at all. Number two, their family members and the loved ones around them, they weren't partaking in the horrendous and heinous acts that they did. I have nothing to say on the dead because they've lived their life. I feel like if you speak on the dead and anyone at any capacity, it says more about you than it does about anyone else. And that's really all I wanted to say on that. That's just really one of the points that I'm really hell bent on. I know what talking on the dead does to people, the loved ones around them. So yeah, I just never do it. No matter what you've done in your life, I just won't. Because you're not here to defend yourself. And that's really all I got to say about that. All right, man. I think that's all I wanted to get to today. I did want to talk about best rap album, and I guess I'll do it very quickly. I don't want to hold you guys up too much. The three best rap albums of the year, and I can't believe I didn't mention this last week, and people did kill me for it. It's definitely Jim Jones' El Capo, Rhapsody's Eve, amazing album, and JPEG Mafia's All My Heroes Are Cornballs. Three of my favorite albums this year. They're the best. I think those are the top three rap albums this year. And I think the rest really, there wasn't really that much good music that released this year. No, there was a lot of good music that released this year. Let me not say that. There was a lot of good music that released. It just wasn't great music. You listen to it a couple times, you hold it on for a couple months, but then you forget about it. It's no timeless music dropped this year. And I think it was a pretty weak year in music. No disrespect to anyone who did drop music this year, but it's just, we're calling a spade here. Before I head out, I just want to say, remember to protect your mental health. Please. That's really it. All right, man, I'm closing this shit out. Time to say everything that the regular YouTuber, every single YouTuber in the book says. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Yeah, man. Stay safe. Please stay safe. This world is fucking crazy. I feel like every week, whenever I do these podcasts, I gotta come in here and say prayers and condolences to people who lost their lives in a terrible way that someone else has taken their life, and that goes back to the conversation I had earlier about humans playing God. It's just something I'd never understand it. I'm not a religious person. I've expressed my beliefs on religion profoundly and extensively, but that doesn't mean I still don't believe in God. And what humans are doing out here is fucking nasty. I just read up on another shooting that happened in Ohio. Man, it's so sad. Prayers and condolences to anyone who lost their life or lost a loved one this past week. I feel like I'm gonna do it every week because people need it. Prayers and condolences. Please stay safe out there. And I'll be back here next week. I promise. But until then, peace. I love you guys that stay this long and listen. Yeah, man. That's really it. Signing off, dog.